The first glimpse. The Galactic Council was in session, and the massive hall buzzed with the sounds of alien languages and heated discussions. Leaders from different planets had gathered to discuss a pressing matter. A new planet had been discovered. It was a death world, a place so dangerous that most species wouldn't survive for more than a few days. The planet was called Earth, and the creatures living on it were even more terrifying. They call themselves humans, one of the council members. A tall, thin creature with glowing blue eyes said in a hushed tone. His name was Zoltra, a respected leader from the peaceful planet Varen. Their planet is full of storms, dangerous animals, and extreme temperatures. But these humans, they don't just survive. They thrive in those conditions. Zoltra wasn't the only one who was worried. The council members whispered among themselves. They had never seen anything like it. Most of the time, a death world meant instant destruction for any living being. But these humans were different. They were born in the chaos of Earth and had learned to live in it like it was nothing. "We need to investigate," another voice chimed in. This time it was Ryvax, the leader of the Zethrans. Ryvax's species was known for their curiosity, always exploring new planets and discovering new life forms. If these humans can survive on a death world, we need to understand how. Maybe they can help us, or maybe they're a threat. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to leave Earth alone, thinking it was too dangerous to get involved. Others were eager to learn more about humans, curious to see what kind of creatures could live in such a harsh environment. Finally, it was decided. A small team of explorers would be sent to Earth to gather information. The Zythrans volunteered to lead the mission. The next day, a sleek Zythran spaceship set off toward Earth. Inside, Ryvax sat with a small group of scientists, each of them eager to learn what made humans so special. As they neared the planet, their ship entered Earth's atmosphere, and they got their first real look at the surface. The sight was unlike anything they had seen before. Giant oceans stretched across the planet, their waters crashing violently against rocky shores. Thunderstorms roared across the skies, lightning flashing in chaotic bursts. Dense forests full of wild, untamed creatures spread out as far as the eye could see. And in the middle of it all were humans, walking around as if they didn't even notice the danger around them. "This is incredible," one of the Zythran scientists, Kolna, whispered in awe. "How can they live like this? The air is full of pollutants, the weather is unstable, and look at those animals. They should be hiding. But they're just walking around like it's a normal day." Ryvax nodded, but there was a deep frown on his face. "They've adapted to their environment. Somehow, these humans have become part of this death world." As they continued to observe, the Zethrans watched the humans closely. They saw people building homes in the middle of dangerous forests. They saw humans climbing mountains during snowstorms and swimming in freezing oceans. Everywhere they looked, the humans were doing things that would kill most other species in the galaxy. "They're not just surviving," Ryvax muttered to himself. "They're thriving." The Zythrans were particularly shocked by the way humans handled danger. They saw a group of humans walking through a dense forest when suddenly a wild animal, a massive predator with sharp claws and glowing eyes, appeared out of nowhere. Instead of running, the humans worked together. One grabbed a stick, another a rock, and together they managed to scare the creature away. "Remarkable," Kolna said. "They don't have any natural weapons, yet they can fight off creatures twice their size." "They use their intelligence," Ryvax replied, still watching in disbelief. "They don't have claws, they don't have thick skin, but they think fast. That's their strength." As the days passed, the Zythrans collected more data. They learned about human history, the wars, the struggles, the natural disasters that had shaped their civilization. The more they learned, the more they realized how different humans were from the peaceful races of the Galactic Council. Back at the Council, reports from Ryvax's team started to arrive. Zoltra and the other Council members read through the findings with a growing sense of unease. Humans weren't just strong, they were clever. They knew how to adapt, how to survive in places where no one else could. And they weren't afraid of danger. In fact, it seemed like they thrived on it. "We must be careful," Zoltra said during the next council meeting. "These humans, they are unpredictable. If we make the wrong move, they could become a threat to the entire galaxy." But Ryvax had a different view. Or they could become our greatest allies, he argued. If we understand them, maybe we can learn to work with them. Maybe they have something to offer that we can't even imagine yet. The council was divided. Some agreed with Zoltra, thinking humans were too dangerous to trust. Others saw the potential that Ryvac spoke of. But one thing was certain. Humans were no ordinary species. They had the strength of a death world behind them, and that made them unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. As the meeting came to an end, Zoltra spoke one final warning. No matter what we decide, we must remember one thing. Humans are not to be underestimated. The council members nodded in agreement. Earth and its people had changed the way they saw the galaxy, and whether humans would become allies or enemies, one thing was clear. The galaxy had never encountered anything like them before. What makes humans different? The Galactic Council's curiosity about humans grew stronger after the first reports from Earth. The Exithrans had sent back detailed information, but it only made the other species more confused. How could a species survive in such a dangerous world? What made humans so different? Back on their ship, Ryvac and his team continued their research. They were determined to find out what made humans so unique. One of their first discoveries was how humans had evolved over millions of years. Earth had forced them to adapt to harsh conditions, and this adaptation had shaped the way humans lived. They weren't always this strong, Kolna, one of the Zythran scientists, explained as they studied the data. Millions of years ago, humans were small, weak creatures. They lived in caves and hunted animals much larger than them. They had no sharp teeth, no claws, nothing to protect them. The more the Scythrans learned, the more they began to understand why humans were so feared. It wasn't just their ability to survive. It was their determination to never give up, no matter the odds. One day, while observing human behavior from their ship, Ryvac and his team witnessed something that made them realize just how different humans really were. They were watching a group of humans in a busy city. The streets were filled with noise and movement, with people rushing from one place to another. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. A building nearby had collapsed, sending debris flying in all directions. The scene was chaotic, with smoke and dust filling the air. At first, it seemed like the humans would panic, but to the Exithrans' surprise, the opposite happened. Within seconds, the humans started organizing themselves. Some began pulling people from the rubble, while others worked to clear the streets. There was no fear in their eyes, only focus and determination. "Look at them," Kolna said, amazed. "They don't even hesitate. They're already working together to solve the problem." Ryvac was equally impressed. They don't waste time worrying about the danger. They just act. This was another key difference between humans and other species. Most beings in the galaxy avoided danger at all costs, but humans had learned to accept it as a part of life. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, they used their fear to push themselves forward. As the Zythrans continued their research, they discovered another surprising fact about humans: their emotions. In most species, emotions were seen as a weakness. Fear, anger, sadness, these feelings could cloud judgment and lead to mistakes. But for humans, emotions were a source of strength. But somehow they survived. Ryvac nodded thoughtfully. They must have used their intelligence. Without natural weapons, they had to rely on their minds. Kolna agreed. Exactly. Over time, humans learned to make tools. They started using sticks and stones as weapons. Then they discovered fire, which gave them warmth and protection from wild animals. They weren't the strongest species on Earth, but they became the smartest. The team continued to dig deeper into human history. They learned about how humans had faced countless challenges: ice ages, deadly diseases, and natural disasters. Each time, the humans found a way to adapt. It seemed like nothing could stop them. What's even more interesting, Kolna added, is that humans didn't just adapt physically, they adapted mentally and emotionally. They developed something we don't see in many other species: resilience. Ryvac raised an eyebrow. Resilience? Yes, Kolna said. When humans are faced with danger or loss, they don't give up. They keep going no matter how bad things get. They have a saying: what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's part of their culture, their mindset. They believe that every challenge makes them better. Ryvax thought about this for a moment. Most species in the galaxy avoided danger whenever possible. If a planet was too hostile, they left. If a situation was too risky, they ran away. But humans were different. They didn't run from danger, they faced it head-on. They have this strange ability to channel their emotions, Kolna explained. When they're afraid, they become more focused. When they're angry, they fight harder. It's almost as if their emotions make them stronger. Ryvax found this fascinating. In the Galactic Council, emotions were often suppressed in favor of logic and reason. But humans had found a way to balance both. They used their emotions to fuel their actions, but they didn't let them take control. The Zethrans also learned about something called hope, a powerful emotion that seemed to drive humans forward even in the darkest of times. Hope is what keeps them going, Kolna said. Even when everything seems lost, humans believe that things will get better. It's what gives them the strength to keep fighting. This concept was completely foreign to the Zethrans. In their culture, once a situation became too difficult, they would retreat and try again later. But humans didn't retreat. They pushed forward, fueled by hope and a belief that they could overcome anything. As the Zethrans gathered more information, they began to see why humans were so feared by other species. It wasn't their physical strength or advanced technology that made them dangerous. It was their ability to adapt, to survive, and to keep fighting no matter what stood in their way. They are different from us, Ryvax said during a discussion with his team. They don't see obstacles the way we do. To them, challenges are just opportunities to grow stronger. Kolna nodded in agreement. Humans have been shaped by their world, a place full of danger and chaos, and now they are the ones shaping their world. As the Zethrans prepared to send their final report back to the Galactic Council, Ryvax couldn't help but feel a deep respect for the humans. They were unpredictable, resilient, and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. But at the same time, they were fascinating. They are truly the children of a death world, Ryvax thought to himself, and that makes them the most unique species we have ever encountered. The test on Katal, the Galactic Council, had finally made its decision. If humans were to be trusted as allies, they needed to be tested. The Council chose a planet called Katal for this purpose, a world known for its harsh environment and relentless challenges. If the humans could survive there, they could survive anywhere. Katal was a planet with jagged mountains, scorching deserts, and dangerous creatures lurking in every corner. It was not as deadly as Earth, but it was one of the most unforgiving planets under the Council's control. The Council wanted to see if humans could handle a planet that was not their own. Could they adapt as they did on Earth? A small group of humans volunteered for the test. They were soldiers, scientists, and explorers, all eager to prove their worth. Commander Daniels led the group, a tall, strong human with sharp eyes and a calm, steady demeanor. His team of 10 included a mix of specialists, each skilled in survival, combat, and science. As they prepared to land on Katal, Ryvax and his Zethran team were there to observe. The Zethrans had studied humans for months and had grown fascinated by their strength and resilience. But even Ryvax wasn't sure how they would fare on a new death world. "This will be different from Earth," Ryvax said, watching the humans through the ship's viewport. "Katal has its own dangers. Let's see how they adapt when everything around them is unfamiliar." The ex-Ethran ship hovered above the planet's surface, watching as the human landing craft descended. The humans touched down in a rocky valley surrounded by towering mountains. The air was thin, the temperature unbearably hot, and strange, predatory creatures could be seen moving in the distance. As soon as the humans stepped off their ship, they began assessing their surroundings. Commander Daniels scanned the area with his team, his face calm despite the harsh conditions. "We'll set up camp here," Daniels said. "Stay alert. We don't know what's out there, but we're not taking any chances." Within minutes, the humans had organized themselves. They built shelters using materials from their ship and set up defenses around their camp. They worked quickly and efficiently, wasting no time. The heat didn't seem to bother them. The strange noises from the distant creatures didn't make them panic. They were focused, calm, and ready. "Impressive," Ryvax muttered, watching the humans. They adapt quickly. The first night on Katal was rough. The planet's temperature dropped dramatically after sunset, plunging from burning heat to freezing cold. The wind howled through the valley, carrying with it the growls and screeches of unseen beasts. Yet the humans remained steady. They had prepared for the cold, lighting fires and wearing special gear to keep themselves warm. In the darkness, they heard movement. Something large was approaching their camp. The ground trembled slightly as a massive, six-legged creature, covered in thick scales and with sharp tusks, came into view. The beast sniffed the air, sensing the humans nearby. "Here we go," Daniels said, motioning for his team to be ready. "Don't attack unless it gets too close." The creature moved closer, its eyes glowing in the dark. The humans didn't run. They stood their ground, watching it carefully. Daniels signaled to one of his team members, who fired a flare into the air. The bright light startled the creature, causing it to back away. After a moment, it turned and retreated into the darkness. "That was close," one of the scientists whispered, wiping sweat from his forehead. Daniels gave a small smile. "We'll be fine. Just stay alert." The next few days were filled with constant challenges. The humans had to face violent sandstorms, unpredictable weather patterns, and strange alien creatures. Yet each time, they found a way to overcome the obstacles. They used their knowledge of survival, their quick thinking, and their teamwork to adapt to everything Catal threw at them. The Zythrans watched with growing respect. They had seen many species struggle to survive on Catal, but the humans were different. They didn't just survive, they thrived. They learned from every encounter, improving their tactics with each passing day. "They're stronger than we thought," Ryvac said to Kolna as they observed the humans from their ship. "They don't let fear control them. They face every challenge head-on." Kolna nodded in agreement. "They're not like us. Most species would retreat when faced with danger like this, but humans, they keep pushing forward. It's as if they're always looking for a way to conquer the challenge." On the fourth day, the humans encountered their biggest test yet. A massive storm, unlike anything they had seen, swept across the valley. The winds were so strong that rocks were lifted into the air, crashing down like deadly missiles. Lightning struck the ground repeatedly, and the humans' shelters were torn apart. For a moment, it seemed like the humans were finally overwhelmed. The storm was too powerful, too sudden, but instead of panicking, they regrouped. Daniels led his team to a nearby cave where they took shelter from the storm. Once inside, they worked together to build a more secure base. They used their remaining supplies and the natural resources around them to create a fortified camp that could withstand the elements. The storm raged for hours, but when it finally cleared, the humans emerged, tired but unharmed. They had once again adapted to the situation, turning a potential disaster into another victory. Ryvac and his team were speechless. They had never seen such resilience, such determination. The humans had passed the test of Catal with flying colors. As they prepared to send their final report back to the Galactic Council, Ryvac couldn't help but feel that the humans were more than just survivors. They were conquerors of any challenge that stood in their way. "They've proven themselves," Ryvac said quietly. "Humans aren't just different, they're extraordinary. Humans fight back." The test on Catal had convinced the Galactic Council that humans were not just survivors, but a species that could face any challenge. However, not everyone was happy with this revelation. The Threllians, a proud and powerful species, saw humans as a growing threat. The Threllians had long been dominant in the galaxy, and the thought of humans rising to challenge their power unsettled them. Without warning, the Threllians decided to launch an attack on Earth. They believed that a quick, devastating strike would show the humans their place and keep them from becoming too bold. They underestimated humanity's response. The attack came in the middle of the night. Threllian ships appeared in the skies above several human cities, including New York, London, and Tokyo. Their energy weapons rained down destruction, causing buildings to collapse and streets to erupt in chaos. The humans were caught off guard, but they didn't panic for long. As soon as the Threllian ships appeared, the humans fought back. Defense systems were activated, and fighter jets were scrambled. Civilians were evacuated, and emergency services quickly went into action. The Threllians had expected fear and chaos, but what they found was a well-prepared and coordinated response. Commander Daniels had returned to Earth just days before the attack. When the Threllians struck, he was in New York, helping train new recruits in the planetary defense forces. As soon as the first wave of attacks hit, he took charge of a nearby defense unit. "We have to hold them off until reinforcements arrive," Daniels said to his team. "Get the civilians out of here and set up a perimeter around the city center." The humans were outnumbered and outgunned, but that didn't stop them. Daniels and his team fought with everything they had, using a combination of strategy, teamwork, and pure determination to keep the Threllians from advancing further into the city. The Threllians were shocked by the humans' response. They had expected to crush Earth's defenses easily, but the humans were not backing down. Instead of retreating, they pressed forward, taking the fight to the Threllians. Small groups of human soldiers used guerrilla tactics, attacking the alien invaders from hidden positions, while air and ground units worked together to repel the larger Threllian forces. High above the planet in orbit, Ryvax and his Zethran team watched the battle unfold. They had not expected the Threllians to attack, and now they were witnessing firsthand what happened when humans were pushed to their limits. "They're not just defending themselves," Kulna observed, her voice filled with awe. "They're fighting back, hard." Ryvax nodded. "This is what makes them dangerous. They don't just react, they adapt. And when they're pushed into a corner, they become even stronger." As the battle raged on, more human cities came under attack. The Threllians launched waves of drones and ground troops, attempting to overwhelm Earth's defenses. But the humans refused to give in. In every city, human soldiers and civilians alike worked together to defend their homes. In Tokyo, a group of engineers repurposed construction drones to fight back against the alien invaders, turning what were once harmless machines into powerful weapons. In London, firefighters and police officers joined forces with the military to defend key points in the city, using everything from water cannons to improvised explosives to slow down the Threllian advance. In New York, Daniels and his team continued to hold the line. They had taken heavy losses, but they refused to retreat. Daniels moved through the streets, leading his soldiers with calm determination. Every time the Threllians tried to push forward, the humans pushed back harder. "We've got them on the ropes," Daniels said, watching as a Threllian dropship exploded in the distance. "Keep up the pressure. They're not as invincible as they think." The Threllians, who had come to Earth expecting an easy victory, were now starting to panic. Their ships, designed for quick, overwhelming strikes, were being destroyed one by the humans' relentless counterattacks. Their ground troops, though larger and stronger than the humans, were being outmaneuvered in the city's narrow streets and alleys. Finally, after hours of fierce fighting, the Threllians began to retreat. Their ships pulled back into orbit, and their remaining ground forces were forced to flee. The humans had done the impossible. They had driven off a more advanced alien force. Back on the Zethran ship, Ryvax and his team couldn't believe what they had just seen. No species had ever repelled a full-scale Threllian attack like this. The humans had not only survived, they had won. They should have known better than to challenge the humans on their own world, Ryvax said quietly. "Earth has shaped them into warriors. This is their territory." Kulna looked at the battle-scarred planet below, where smoke still rose from the cities, but victory belonged to the humans. "They don't just survive," she said. "They thrive in the face of danger." Back on the ground, Commander Daniels and his team stood amidst the ruins of New York, catching their breath as the last of the Threllian ships disappeared from the sky. "We did it," one of the soldiers said, his voice filled with disbelief. Daniels nodded, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Yeah, we did, but this isn't over. They'll be back." He knew that the Threllians would return with even greater force, but for now, they had proven one thing. Humans were not to be underestimated. When threatened, they would fight back with everything they had, and they would never give up. As the humans began to rebuild their cities and count their losses, one thing was clear. They had earned the respect of the galaxy. The Threllians had learned the hard way that humans were more than just survivors. They were fighters, and they would not be broken. The final decision, the dust had barely settled after the Threllian attack on Earth. Buildings were still being rebuilt, and the scars of battle were visible everywhere. But despite the destruction, the humans had emerged victorious, and the galaxy had taken notice. The Galactic Council, now fully aware of the human strength, faced a difficult choice. Should they officially welcome humanity into the Council as equals? Or should they see humans as a threat to the balance of power in the galaxy? The Council members were divided. Some saw humanity's resilience as an asset, while others feared what they might do if they continued to grow stronger. In a grand chamber on Cygnos Prime, the capital of the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of species gathered to make their final decision. The room was enormous, with towering pillars and holographic displays showing the faces of every council member. At the center of the room stood Ambassador Ryvax, representing the Zythran species, and Commander Daniels, standing proudly for humanity. Ryvax had been a key observer of the humans from the beginning, and now it was his turn to speak. He knew that the Council's decision would shape the future of the galaxy, and he wanted to ensure that the truth about humanity was understood. "Council members," Ryvax began, his voice calm but strong. "I have seen firsthand what the humans are capable of. They are survivors, yes, but they are much more than that. They are adaptable, resourceful, and determined. When faced with impossible odds, they don't surrender. They fight back." The room was silent as Ryvax continued. "But they are not a threat to us. They do not seek domination or conquest. They fought against the Threllians because they were attacked, not because they wanted war. Humans are protectors of their home and their people, and if we give them a chance, they can become protectors of the galaxy as well." Several council members nodded in agreement, but others remained skeptical. The representative of the Draxians, a cold and calculating species known for their strategic thinking, spoke next. "Ambassador Ryvax, while your words are compelling, we cannot ignore the danger that humanity represents. They have the potential to become too powerful, too quickly. What happens when they are no longer defending their planet, but instead seek to expand their influence across the stars? Can we trust them not to use their strength against us?" Commander Daniels, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward to address the council. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp with determination. "We don't seek to conquer the galaxy," Daniels said, his voice steady. "We don't want war. But we won't let anyone threaten our people either. All we ask for is the chance to stand as equals among the species of the galaxy. We've proven that we're capable, that we're strong enough to survive, and that we can contribute to the protection of the galaxy as much as any other species." The Lorathi representative, a species known for their wisdom and diplomacy, leaned forward, his glowing eyes studying Daniels carefully. "And what if another species attacks you, Commander Daniels? Will you respond with the same force you did against the Threllians? Will humanity always be ready to fight?" Daniels paused for a moment before answering. "We will fight if we have to. But that's not who we are. We don't want conflict. We're explorers, scientists, builders. Our strength comes from our will to protect and our desire to grow. But we will never seek war unless it is forced upon us," the council murmured in response, their opinions still divided. Ryvax watched carefully, knowing that this decision could go either way. Humanity had proven its strength, but would that strength be seen as a threat or an opportunity? After a long pause, the head of the council, a towering figure from the Avarkian species, finally spoke. Her voice echoed through the chamber, commanding attention from everyone in the room. "We have heard both sides. The question before us is not just whether humanity is strong, but whether they can be trusted with that strength. Will they use it to protect as they claim, or will they become a danger to the peace of the galaxy?" There was another pause as the council members considered her words. Then slowly, one by one, the representatives began to cast their votes. The holographic displays around the room lit up as each vote was registered. Green for inclusion, red for rejection. Ryvax watched with growing tension as the votes came in. The greens and reds flickered across the displays, nearly evenly split. It was too close to call. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the final vote was cast. The holographic display showed a slim majority of green lights. Humanity had been accepted into the Galactic Council. The room erupted into murmurs and discussions. but Ryvax let out a sigh of relief. He turned to Daniels, who gave him a nod of gratitude. "It's done," Ryvax said quietly. "You've earned your place among us." Daniels smiled, though there was a weight behind his expression. He knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had won the right to stand with the other species of the galaxy, but there would always be those who feared their strength. They would have to prove themselves again and again. As the council meeting came to a close, Ryvax and Daniels left the grand chamber together. Outside, the stars shone brightly in the sky, a reminder of the vast galaxy that lay before them. Humanity had taken its first step into the larger universe, and no one knew what the future would hold. But one thing was certain: humans would fight to protect their place in the galaxy, no matter what challenges came next.